And welcome back into the final segment of the show this morning. We're going to be talking about interesting things. We're going to be talking about how to reinvent yourself. We're going to talk about your resolutions, just how to start doing things differently as far as your life is concerned. And when we come to this time of year, everybody resolves to get their lives back in order in the new year, in the Gregorian New Year. I know we're meant to be doing this as Muslims, alhamdulillah, we have so many opportunities. We have an opportunity in Ramadan, we have the opportunity with Bakri Eid, we have the opportunity very definitely in Muharram, which we've just come out of. But I guess a lot of us also wait for the new Gregorian year, which is 2017. Can't believe how time is flying by. And we resolve to do so many things differently in our lives. I think top of my list is a sensible diet, for example, and to be more loving and to be more caring and to get the best, out of myself, to be the best person I can be. So these are all the things we resolve to do. But I think 2 or 3 months down the line, or sometimes even 3 weeks down the line, everything seems to go out the window. So knowing that we have all of these weaknesses in our lives, that we can't stick to a plan, we have a life coach in the studio who's going to tell us exactly how to set down your resolutions and how to work around them, inshallah, with great success. She's Razia Mohamed. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me again on your show. It's an honor.
Well, thank you. I remember you were one of my first interviewees on the show.
Yes.
And it was such fun having you on the show. And I'm so glad to have you back again.
Thank you.
Now, Razia, you're not only a life coach, you've written a book, you've authored a book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about the book before we get to the heart of the matter?
Okay, the book is called See the Change. And that's very self-explanatory in the sense that change of mind, change of life, basically. So if you change the way that you think about things, then you automatically change your life, because we as humans, we don't see things as it really is. We see things as we are.
As we want to see it.
As we are, as we want it to be.
Okay, explain that concept to me. You're saying
Yes.
we don't see things as they actually are. We see things as we are. So it's from our emotional space that we are viewing situations which might not necessarily be the actual reality. Okay, how do you change that? Let me give you an example. And I'm going to come back to you and where you practice from and all of that, but I don't want to lose this thought.
Yes.
Let's assume I'm in a very dark or a negative space in my life. I'm having huge challenges. Let's assume someone owes me a lot of money. How do I engage with the person without losing my cool, without becoming an enemy to the person? How do I engage with them, and how do we then try and resolve our issue and still be friends after after this drama plays out?
You see, I'm very inspired by the Sufi order, the one that the gentleman that spoke before me.
Sheikh da Costa.
Sheikh da Costa. It's all about letting go of your ego and letting Allah into your life. So in the morning, I always believe that after you read your fajr, you say, Ya Allah, remove toxic people from my life and bring in beneficial people. That's number one. And number two would be, let me go of all ego, that dreaded 3-letter word. Let me go of all ego and let Allah into my life. And when you let the Creator in, because the Creator is within you, He's everywhere else, but He is within you. So when
the goodness, the pureness, the purity of you is the Creator.
So when you understand that concept, that whole idea of he owes me money, he has done me wrong, she has done this to me, she has so many faults because she has done ABC to me, that will not matter, because you will realize how temporary life is at the end of the day. And we always believe that death is going to happen to someone else. We're only confronted with it when the death of a close one, we experience the death of a close one. But at the end of the day, what we do not really conceptualize is that we are going to be in that space when Allah decides it's going to happen. And when you realize that you are going to be in that space, that money that is owed to you will mean nothing.
Or that broken relationship, or that troubled marriage. Let's
Most
perhaps
definitely.
go to a troubled relationship or a troubled marriage.
Okay.
We talk about ego, and it's easier said than done. We know it's a simple 3-letter word, and yet we are all so proud and arrogant, and
Yes.
it's me first, and that's the ego, obviously.
Yes.
If I'm thinking about my welfare and my position in the family order or in the workspace or wherever it is, I'm allowing my ego to overtake. It's easier said than done. How do you overcome that? How do you train yourself not to let your nafs overtake,
Yes.
all the beauty around you, and for you to have ongoing health relationships? You often hear in marriages a man will accuse the wife of being a nag. For goodness sake, woman,
Stop nagging.
Just stop nagging. I've got the issue in hand. Don't worry, I'll fix the situation in my time. And women are warriors. They worry about a lot of things.
Yes.
Because they carry a lot on their shoulders. And I think with some women, you can't help but nag. So how do we work around this?
You see, our timeline is divided into a straight line: the past, the present, and the future. So how does anxiety come about? Let me explain that quickly. We are living in the present, right?
But
Are
we're
we
stuck
right?
in the past, aren't we?
But our bodies are in the present, but our minds are stuck in the past. So it's all about what has happened already that you are trying to fix.
And you can't let go.
And because you are trying to fix the past, you basically forego the gift, the present that you have, because you don't even know whether it's going to last a second or a minute more. And what you do is you forego the present and you go immediately to the future. And that is that land of what if. What if this is going to happen? What if that is going to happen? And that immediately creates anxiety. And as we know, Shaitan has promised that as long as mankind is around, I will lead them astray. And Allah said, as long as they ask for forgiveness, I will forgive them. So Shaitan feeds on that. The moment you ask, what if, in your mind, he goes by that, and the whisperings start. So that's how you get the nagging wife, or how you get the anxiety about what is going to happen in the future.
Or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy enough. So we're wasting our lives being stuck in the past and worrying about the future, and we're not mindful of the beauty of the present.
And as we know, we are going to take absolutely nothing with us. All we are going to do is take our good deeds. And yet we are stuck in that whole thing. I was part of such a beautiful leadership seminar not too long ago. I met this really wonderful, inspiring man called Ibrahim Skaitama. And what he had said was so inspirational, the way he put it. I thought leadership was done. There was nothing more that I could learn until I sat glued, listening to this man for the entire day. And what he said was, we are so preoccupied with getting these possessions. And we want to acquire this home and this property and this car and whatever it may be. And when your house is violated, when somebody enters that house, or it gets burgled, or whatever it may be, and you are in that house, the house does not say that there is my Julie. I need to take care of my Julie. But yet you will say, I need to take care of my house.
Home or my car. Possessions.
So we take ownership of possessions. And though that possession does not take ownership of you.
We idolize our possessions.
And then when you realize that concept, you will realize how temporary all of this is. And you will value your relationships. And you will go out there and you will serve. Because you will realize that that is what is going to take me forward, not my car, not my home, not my holiday home, or where I've been, or who I can tell where I've been, etc.
So that's the ego.
That is the ego.
Right. Now, before we get on to a new year, a new me, possibly even starting with all of that now, we need to give a little bit of background to our viewers this morning about you, Razia Mohamed, the life coach and the author. Tell us where you're based, how you've come about being involved in this type of work. Obviously, you've studied for it, and how people can contact you.
Well, my choice of career was not even a choice really, because it's what I know how to do. I know how to help people. That has always been my forte. I would be sitting in a dentist's office, and the next moment the person next to me has my phone number and I know his or her entire life story. That's basically the way that it works with me. And I think maybe I just have that face that people trust. So when I decided to study, it was in that field of psychology. And I was confronted with the idea of life coaching in 2008. So I've been doing this for the past 16 years. And I think the ideology of life coaching is really amazing, because it's not normal psychology where the person sits across from you and all they're allowed to say was, how does it make you feel? So tell me, how does it make you feel?
Or you're stuck here in this place, and what made you those memories or those thoughts to come back into your mind? What has precipitated that?
Exactly. Now, when you're speaking to a life coach, it's as if we are having a conversation like the way we are having now. So at the end of that session, you actually feel like you're getting somewhere and you got some leeway and you got some productivity out of that 45 minutes or that hour that you are spending with the life coach. So,
okay, off camera just now, we spoke about motivation.
Yes.
We had a very interesting little chat about it, and I think it's part of all of what we're talking about this morning. But let's touch on that right after we take our ad break, inshallah. I'm talking to Razia Mohamed. She's a life coach. She's also an author of a book. And of course, she comes from a background of psychology. We're going to be talking resolutions, we're going to talk motivation, and we're going to talk a new you in the new year, inshallah. And we're talking to Razia Mohamed. She's a life coach. She's going to give us all the amazing tips of motivation and how to seize on opportunities and just how to become a better person and inshallah stick with your resolutions in the new year. So back to you, Razia. And we were talking about the ego, the nafs.
Yes.
Inshallah, you also started out the program by saying start with the intention, and the intention with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide you through every intention and action in your life on a daily basis. That will be your starting point. But people who are not motivated, have very low levels of motivation.
Yes.
How do they go about setting goals for themselves and sticking with those goals? I'm thinking diet. I mean, I resolve every year or every few weeks without fail to stick to a healthy diet and become a new me. It just doesn't happen.
Okay, let's take the example of the diet. Okay, so you want to look a certain way, and you look a certain way. So it's basically a before and an after. and you need to have a specific visual that you would want to look like when you're talking about a diet, because that is why you're dieting anyway. It's for health reasons and for your own visual self, and then it's for your self-esteem, and it's for your self-confidence, because obviously if you look good, you feel good.
True.
So I would say put up a vision board. Now, what is a vision board? Vision board. So you would basically do a collage visually, and you would put in a whole lot of pictures of what it is that you would like to look like afterwards. Obviously, it has to be realistic.
Sure.
Because if you're looking like something, you cannot look like something completely different.
Can I just interrupt you here as well?
Yes.
Because that's going to motivate you to stick with your plan.
Yes.
Would the vision board work also for someone who has a dream of owning a certain type of house or car?
Certainly.
Or a dream job, etc.? How does the vision board work for them?
It's all about visualization at the end of the day. And you know, we are sending non-verbal communication towards Allah, towards the universe, towards ourselves, that whole law of attraction. So basically, when you are talking to yourself negatively, it's called negative self-talk. You are actually internalizing, and you're making that the fact, because your subconscious mind controls 95% of who you are. So you are telling your subconscious mind, I am not worthy, I am not good enough, I do not respect myself, I do not love myself, I do not deserve this car, I do not deserve. I believe that if you want those things, why not? As long as arrogance does not set in.
How do you self-affirm? I know a lot of people say, do it when you're in the shower, or like you've said, after you've made your Fajr Salah, when you're sitting on the Musalla, you can self-affirm there as well. Just give us some,
So I would say this is an NLP technique, a neuro-linguistic programming technique that I would use on my clients on a normal basis. Basically, I do a series of 6 sessions with life coaching to get you from A to B, and you can really be productive in those 6 sessions. It's tried and tested. Yet, if you are at home and if you want to visualize and you want to realize your dreams, basically close your eyes. Breathe in and out 3 times. But every time you breathe in, you take Allah's name. And every time you breathe out, you take Allah's name. So when you are taking the name of your Creator, there is no way that you are not summoning Him to listen to you. And basically what I would do is I would close my eyes, breathe in and out 3 times, and then I would visualize what it is that I'm looking at, this window behind you, and it's so apt as to what can materialize from your thoughts, because it's like a window. And when you're looking outside the window, you're actually putting yourself in that position of, this is what I would like. And always use positive affirmations in the sense of, this is what I want, as opposed to, this is what I don't want.
And your visual board would also assist, because every time you look at the board,
yes,
you just kind of reaffirming positive messages to yourself.
Besides reaffirming positive messages to yourself, you are actually training your subconscious mind that this is what I am aspiring to do or to be.
So those are the goals I've set. Let's look at a different situation. I'm not sure if we do have control over a situation like that. Let's assume you have a situation where you have a son or a daughter,
yes,
who is in a relationship that you're not happy about, or things are not going right in their work life, or you have an errant husband who runs around a lot, and you would, you make lots of dua that his bad habits are stopped. All of those situations, how can you with your, positive thinking and affirmations, change those figures almost outside of your, it's your immediate circle, but you doing the affirming and the positive thinking, they not. Is that going to change their actions?
Most definitely. We are all energy. I am energy, you are energy, the chair is energy. We are all made up of energy. So we transfer positive energy or we transfer negative energy. We basically make an unconscious or a subconscious choice to transfer energy. Like the person sitting across from you, automatically you get a vibe. I feel positive when I'm talking to her, or I feel negative. I feel like I need to end this conversation. So if you are going through your immediate circle of a loved one not behaving the way that you would like them to behave, what we need to realize, number one, is that the only being in control is Allah.
Absolutely.
And we cannot control situations. But what we can do, I'd like to tell you a funny story after this as well. What we can do is by our change in behavior, we can change another person. So for example, this husband that is never at home, this husband that is always outside, this husband that's always possibly with social media, is busy on his phone all the time. What you can do is, instead of being the nagging wife, what you can do is switch your role. So it's your change in behavior that is going to bring about the change in that person. Why is he or she always busy on their phone? Because they don't want to interact with you, because maybe you're taking on a very motherly role with him.
Or you're nagging too much.
So it's always about, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? So he feels like he needs a form of escapism. And when you make yourself that fun person that he is speaking to on social media, automatically the relationship changes. Also,
now, we're also not saying this is not going to happen overnight.
No, most
it's a
definitely.
process. You need to be patient.
Yes, most definitely. What has taken many years to create a situation can't fix itself in 5 minutes of closing your eyes and visualizing. Obviously, it's a process, and that is where people like me come in to show you with a series of processes of how it's done. And the results are phenomenal.
Okay, we have about 6 minutes left, believe it or not. The
very important on thing. The whole day. The conversation that we had off air, I'd just like to say that little story there, where this person came to me and said that, what I've discovered is that motivation does not last. And I said, well, do you have a bath or a shower every day? And she said, yes. I said, well, cleanliness doesn't last either. So motivation needs to be done on a daily basis.
And you can't expect another person to motivate you. It comes from inside. It's up to you.
It all comes from within at the end of the day.
And then that leads us to goal setting, very especially now that we're around the corner from the new year. How do you set goals and how do you stick with your goals?
I would say on a piece of paper. I'm a big fan of writing. I believe writing affirms everything in your mind. So I would say, put down as a start, put down 3 short-term goals and put down 3 long-term goals. And then as an added bonus, put down 5 things on your bucket list. So your bucket list is those things I want to do before I expire, before I move on to the next world. And that will set you up and that will motivate you. And as you go along, you tick whatever it is that you have put down there and you have realized your goals. So you affiliate your goals.
Give us examples.
Okay, so a short-term goal may be losing weight. A long-term goal may be finishing my degree. A bucket list may be
Going on a dream holiday.
Going on a dream holiday. My personal thing would be going on an eat, pray, love journey where I want to experience want to experience all different cultures across the world, but there must be no time constraints.
Okay.
That would be one thing on my list. But there's no dream that is too big, because Allah says your destiny and your taqdeer is predestined. Everything is predestined. But what is the one thing that can change it? Dua.
Absolutely. So back to the goals.
Yes.
So you make a list of your short-term and your long-term goals.
And your bucket list.
And your bucket list. How often do you go to that list? And the affirmation or the board that you were talking about, can you put it up on that board as well?
Very important that I neglected to mention is that you need to put time frames. Because it's very easy saying, I want to lose weight. So I want to lose weight in 6 months, in 4 weeks, or in 5 years. So it's very important to put time frames on your goals so that you know that I have the certain time. It's like when you were in school or when you were in university and there's a certain time that a project is due, or in a work environment, project management. You can't say that, I'll do this project, but I'll do it 3 months later. It's due for this time.
What happens if you put your short and long-term goals? Obviously, long-term, you've put timelines.
Yes.
Even with short-term.
Short-term as well.
And you haven't met, you've got 3 goals and you haven't met them in the 1 month or the 3 month period you've given yourself. And I think that's where people fail. They then just throw up and they walk away from it. How do you go back and say, all right, fine, I didn't attain or achieve these goals. How do I motivate myself to start all over again?
So that is where people like me would come into the situation, in the sense that you have a teacher or you have a lecturer in your secular environment. Okay, if you are in your Dini environment, you would have a sheikh or you would have a Molana that you would go to, or any kind of ulama that you would consult. So you cannot do things by yourself. It's like how we know that Allah is present. We know that He's within us. We know that He's around us. He's sitting here at this very present moment listening to our conversation.
And accept our du'as, inshallah.
Ameen. But yet, that is a spiritual thing, because we know we've been taught that. But at the end of the day, we are humans. So if we're going to be Wonder Woman and try to do everything by ourselves, it's very likely that you are going to fail. Alone we can do so much, but together we can accomplish so much more. Most definitely.
As far as your goals are concerned, short-term and long-term, is it necessary for your family and friends or, people that have a big part in your life to share the goals with them? If you share your aspirations with them, are they going to be able to assist you or support you in any way? Or is this something you're going to have to do yourself?
I would say that you should take it on as a personal endeavor. Because something like this, one negative comment may just put you back right down again. So it should be your own self-respect, your own self-love and your own self-honor that should motivate you, obviously with the help of professionals, to actually motivate you to get that step further. Like regarding weight loss and image perception and all of that, I'm doing a program, a 6-week program, that's actually getting the person from A to B with her image, with the way that she projects herself, with the weight, with everything else, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Signs up with me, and from day 1 to after 6 weeks, we have a whole new you. But not only physically, mentally and emotionally as well. Because it's all good, all well and good looking good on the outside when the inside is in a shambles.
Do you work with recovering addicts, and do you have success with them? And How do you work with them that is different to how you'd work with me, for example?
Okay, what happens normally with substance abusers is that it's very much that blame game. So firstly, society blames them for the way they are, so they carry on being that way, and then they tend to blame other people for the way they are as well.
It's your fault I made this choice.
It's your fault, it's my mother, it's my father, it's etc., etc., it's my friends. We need to show them that they need to take personal responsibility for their actions, and all actions need has consequences. But also what we need to do is we need to empathize and treat them as human beings. And that is what I do with many of my substance abuse clients. What they say that they find different with me as opposed to a rehab center or with their families is acceptance and non-judgment. And that is where my success comes from. Is because there's that non-judgmental attitude and the ability of being able to go down to the level or up to the level of any age.
Okay, and with 2 minutes left to go, how do we seize on new opportunities? A lot has to do with your self-esteem, I should imagine.
Yes, most
and
definitely.
Confidence.
Yeah. New opportunities, you need to realize what your capabilities are. And I say that there's no such thing as impossible, because impossible just means I'm possible in my books. So there's nothing that you cannot overcome. Besides me being a life coach, I come from a series of weird and wonderful personal experiences within myself. So I'm able to empathize with many people because I come from that point of experience. And having said that, I feel that if you feel that on your vision board, even if it's in a mental space, and if you can achieve whatever it is that you set out to, like you say, opportunities, seize that moment and always rely on your Creator. Make the dua, but He always says as well, tie your camel.
Absolutely.
And I will do the rest. So it's all about making the effort, and then at the end of the day, trusting Him to come through for you.
I truly have been very inspired by having you in the studio this morning. Inshallah, I do hope that we'll have more time in the new year.
Inshallah.
And we'll remember all your words of wisdom and advice. And of course, that brings us to the end of the show today. We sincerely hope that you've enjoyed being with us. I've just been told by the production team that it's time for an ad break. We're not quite saying our goodbyes to Razia yet. Oh, we are saying goodbye to Razia, so a bit of mixed messages going on here. We're saying goodbye to Razia, but it is the end of this segment. So we do hope you've enjoyed that, and she has given out her details. They've been scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you didn't manage to get it, you can call us and we will pass it on to you. But it's been fascinating chatting with her, but let's pay the rent first, inshallah.